It's time to find out if our fin has any leaks. This is an aspect of the Keel build that I know a lot of people have been curious about, is the fact that we designed the fin to be hollow and sealed so that, you know, there's no water getting into it, rusting it or whatever. We need to do a pressure test. There are ports that are on the port side of the fin that I'm going to use to add a PSI of pressure. We'll bring it up to pressure, close the valve, and hope that the pressure doesn't drop. If it does, then what we'll need to do is go around and try and find that leak. So fingers crossed that there are no problems, no leaks here. I'm just going to use my vacuum pump that I use for vacuum bagging in reverse. That'll bring the pressure up nice and slow. And I have a pressure gauge on my little manifold up here it's a 0 to 5 pressure gauge, so I can be pretty accurate with my monitoring. And like I said, I'm only going to bring it up to like 1, maybe 1.5 psi. It's already coming up. This won't take very long to get it up to pressure. I can already see that it's falling.
Darn. That's a bummer.
So I'm going to go get my bottle of soapy water and squirt around the obvious places that it could be, like around these ports. We're also going to continue to monitor the pressure because it looks like it stopped falling. Maybe we got lucky, or maybe I was just overly optimistic. So I feel like I'd be able to hear it.
I've got a really good close-up of your ear. You've got really cute ears.
Stop it. This is not about my ears.
Comment if you think Matt has cute
No,
ears.
no. We're not doing this. No.
You're not the videographer. I am.
I can't find any leaks, and it's definitely falling very, very slowly. Yeah. So I'm just going to email Evan and ask him what the max pressure is I can bring this thing up to. Maybe like 1.5 psi. And I'm hoping that the higher pressure will help reveal the leaks easier than a lower pressure will. Evan said I can bring it up to like 1 or 2. So I'm going to bring it up to 1.5, see what happens. Oh, you hear that? I can hear it. I think I hear it somewhere right here. Aha! There it is. Look at that. It's blowing bubbles. And you can hear it. So, I was just telling Yanni that we built this to be a sealed tank, and we also cut like, you know, there were like 200 holes we cut in this side of the tank, or this side of the fin. Not to mention there's hundreds of linear inches of welding that had to go all the way around both sides of the fin. And so I guess I was very optimistic that there wouldn't be any holes, but it's not surprising that there are. And it looks like, I mean, it looks like there's only one.
So we got to seal that one up and then do the pressure test again.
Exactly.
Fan favorite Bill is back. He came to seal up the leak, which again is totally expected when Bill welded more than 200 holes in this fin. Even so, he called it his warranty work and didn't charge me for the time.
All right, we're testing it again. Okay, there's a half a PSI.
Getting now.
It's 1 1/4.
I hear something.
Me too.
What?
I hear a whistle. Oh, it just stopped.
I definitely heard it.
Yeah, I heard it was a whistling just now.
Well,
But it
put
just
put
stopped.
back on. Put some more air on it.
No, it was lower down.
Slow down in the keel.
Uh-huh.
Out of the seam between the lead.
God, it better not be. Look at that.
Coming out under the glass.
No, it's coming out through the lead.
Oh my gosh. How is that possible?
A crack line or something that's in the lead and coming out over here.
Is that gonna erode the lead, Matt?
No.
But you're going to coat the lead,
Oh yeah.
and you're going to coat this seam, and you're going to add more of this, or is that done? And then build up thickness in
Yeah.
millage, and that's all structural anyway.
Yeah. No, around the steel.
These little tiny pinholes.
There's 2 more right here, but that's all I've seen. They're real slow, real tiny
They
tiny
won't-
leaks.
They won't get, once you paint them, they'll never find
Yeah.
them. They'll never have a leak there.
Yep. Yeah, we got to remember that, like, the interior, you know, we're trying to keep water from getting in, not
Right.
out, and so coating, there'll be a million coats of epoxy on this thing.
So it's never going to leak,
Yeah.
even if we don't weld it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Matt, what about the leaks in the seam between the fin and the lead?
Yeah, I'm going to talk to Evan about that.
You're painting the lead though,
Oh yeah, the whole thing, everything will be coated.
so that'll seal that up too.
Yeah, ideally, yeah. It
And
will.
we can't really do anything about the leak in the
no,
lead.
there's nothing we can do about that except for coat it.
And the only thing you can figure is it's most likely coming from underneath the fiberglassing you did.
Well, the one though is coming through the lead. Like
Well,
there's
how's
a
it
there's
getting there?
there must be, you know, it's coming down through the fin, and then there must be some kind of like crevice.
It's migrating over to that, and
Yeah.
it's coming out through that spot.
Yeah.
So you seal the lead, and it's done.
Yeah. But that's really weird. But I figure we might as well, if it's all right with you, might as well just hit those.
Just hit those spots. So
Yeah.
let's wipe them off and put a felt mark where exactly it is. So I'm not welding in spots that it's not.
Yep. So the next step is to grind on the steel, clean it up, and then we'll paint it.
There is a weldable primer on the steel that protects the steel from rusting. Unfortunately, that weldable primer and the Interlux 2000 are not compatible, so I need to remove all of the weldable primer before applying the 2000. After trying a bunch of tools and grinding discs, the fastest way was just to use a regular 40 grit sanding disc, but it was still very slow going. After 2 days of grinding, I finally got a surface good enough to paint, but on only one section of the fin. This was taking far too long, so I changed to tacks.
So I've spent a few days grinding and starting to paint the fin. I have to get the weldable primer that's on it off, and it's taking way too long. And so my friend Paul gave me the idea to find a person that does laser ablation. And so I found Raymond with precision laser cleaning, and he's gonna try and see if his laser can take off the weldable primer that's on the fin. And so, Raymond, would you mind explaining to us how this whole thing works?
We're gonna try.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's new technology. It's very exciting because there's no particulate, there's no mess. You tried sandblasting earlier and
Yeah.
it was a disaster. I
Makes a
heard.
huge mess.
Exactly. We're using a 2000 watt continuous laser today, so very high powered. Basically what it does is shoots high energy light at any particulate, any contamination, and it goes through it and it hits the substrate and bounces off. And when it bounces off, it creates more energy than when it outputs, so it oxidizes the debris on the substrate and basically vaporizes it and it's gone. And
Awesome.
Different times for different projects we have to up the voltage or up the frequency or lower it so we don't burn the substrate. So it's kind of a trick, we gotta play around with it to figure it out, but
Sounds a little bit like welding, how you adjust the voltage and the
basically,
amperage, yeah.
There's a sweet spot in there, and when you find that, it just basically lifts everything off.
Cool.
So,
Excellent. So, and what I understand is it's not going to actually abrade the surface, it's just going to clean the surface. So any rust, any paint, anything like that.
exactly, yeah. So there's no pitting, there's no deterioration. Now, again, it depends on the material. If you're using wood, it might scorch it a little bit. If you're doing a denser metal, it will leave less of a mark than softer metals. But like I said, it all depends on the sweet spot, what you're doing. But,
Cool. Well, we're very excited to see how well it works. And so after he's done, if it does work, then I'll go over the surface with just a sander to give it a tooth, and then we can paint. Raymond's finished in here. It's only taken, how long did it take? 4 hours?
5 hours.
5 hours,
yeah.
which it would have taken me like 3 or 4 days to get this done. So
Wow.
it looks fantastic, and
Good
I
to
really
hear.
appreciate you coming out
Absolutely,
and getting
man.
it done. So
I learned a couple things. I know a few things about sailboats now. So
yeah, there you go.
I'm excited to see what comes of it.
Yeah,
So,
cool.
well,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely,
Yep.
man. It's been a pleasure.
So I'm gonna go and grind the keel, clean it up so we can get it painted. All right, I sanded for a couple hours this morning, got it cleaned, so I'm ready to paint. I'm painting it with Interlux's 2000 E, which is the barrier coat paint. I've thinned it about 15%, and that way it gets into all the grooves and nooks and crannies and everything. So I'm really excited to get this done. I'm gonna go paint.
Hey, Matt. I have a really important question.
You've set me up.
Are you finally getting close to being finished with the fin?
For the next year, I'm definitely getting very close to being finished.
Of course, I and the commenters love torturing you with puns, but in all seriousness, this keel project has been a massive amount of work. You might even say a phenomenal amount of work. So what's left, and was it worth it?
Well, this is the last time we'll see the keel for until we take it down to the boatyard. So once it's down to the boatyard, then it's a whole bunch of fairing and sealing it up, as well as bolting it onto the boat. So that'll be really fun once it's down there. But for now, it's done. As far as it being worth it, I am extremely happy with it. I think it's going to be a really, really nice keel. It was a ton of work, more work than I expected for sure, but it has also turned out better than I expected. I do think it was worth it.
So I'm going to say a few final words about this keel before we leave it behind for a year until we take it down to the boatyard and bolt it onto the boat. It's been a long project, and I'm very ready to be done with it. I'm very, very happy with how it turned out, and I think I probably came across as very concerned about the holes that we found that Bill went and fixed afterward, but there's also the funny little holes in the lead. We did some research, and lead is very naturally porous, especially when we cast it in something that has probably quite a few contaminants in it, especially if you'll remember the explosion in the water that got inside there. And so I've done my best to fix those holes. I actually pulled a vacuum on the keel and covered any of the holes that we found in the lead to try and draw epoxy into the lead. Bill, as you saw, came out and fixed the holes that were around the welds. But the big picture is that we're going to be burying this thing in epoxy. There will be obviously all the barrier coat on it. There will be tons and tons of fairing on it. There will be more barrier coat on top of the fairing, and then there'll be bottom paint. The flange will be buried in probably a ½ an inch of epoxy, just fairing it in, and then glassed in to the boat. So bottom line is that this thing will be totally encapsulated, and it will be very difficult for water to get in. We also installed inspection ports so that we can inspect when we haul the boat out if water has gotten in. Some people have asked about filling the fin, the hollow fin, with something, and actually the plan is going to be that we're going to fill it with nitrogen. Nitrogen is a really cheap gas that we can buy from the welding store, and I can pull a vacuum on it and then suck nitrogen into it, and nitrogen will basically prevent any corrosion that will happen on the inside of the keel. So we have lots of plans to make sure that there are no problems with this thing, because that would be very stressful if we did have some big problems with it in the future, and so we want to prevent that at all costs. So for now, I'm done with it. I'm happy with it being painted and the lead being as it is. And once we take it down to the boatyard, then we'll finish it up. And thank you very much for sticking with us for this very long and detailed and difficult project that we have taken on. Not just the boat, but this keel specifically. So next week, we'll be getting back into the boat and doing some really fun installation of systems. So we'll see then. And lastly, we have a new Patreon to thank, Morten in Norway. He's been sailing his whole life. He sent us a lot of really great pictures, including one of his first boats was a Nordic folk boat. And now he and his son Linus and their dog Stella Polaris sail around on their Dufour. They're also participants in the local Sea Scouts, which sounds really, really fun. They have all kinds of boats that they go out on. And so thank you very much to Morten and Linus and Stella Polaris and everybody who's been a Patreon. If you are considering joining our Patreon community, you can find us at the Duracell Project on patreon.com, or you can also like and subscribe and send our videos to anybody who you think might be interested. It all helps get the project done. So thank you again very much.